Nothing But the Words, episode number 5, To Outline or Not to Outline Your Nonfiction Book.
Welcome to Nothing But the Words, the podcast that gives you everything you need to know to write a phenomenal book. Now here's your host, your author coach, Candace L. Davis.
Welcome to Nothing But the Words. I'm your author coach, Candace L. Davis. And today I'm talking about a slightly unpopular topic in much of the world of writing, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed. And that is whether or not you should outline your nonfiction book or not. And I have some very definite opinions on that topic. But before we dive into that, I want to share with you that I've just returned from a wonderful retreat. It's called Beach Condo. It's put on by a group called Beachpreneurs, beachpreneurs.com. And it was an opportunity to spend a week with 10 brilliant business women. And we had 3 condos right on the water at Pensacola Beach. Excuse my voice going out. At Pensacola Beach, I got a little bit sick from the late nights at Beach Condo, and I am still recovering. But we had 7 wonderful days on the beach, and the amazing thing about it was there was specific time in the morning for brainstorming and masterminding, and specific time in the evening, sort of for adventuring, or the afternoons for adventuring and going to dinner and spending time together. But I also had large swaths of the day uninterrupted of hours at a time to focus on my writing projects. Now, I am a huge fan of the philosophy of write every day. I think that's great. It helps you to avoid writer's block. It helps you to keep the momentum going. It helps you to be able to write while you live the rest of your life and work your job or run your business, raise your kids, take care of your parents, whatever it is that you have on your plate. However, it was a great reminder for me that getting away from all the normal responsibilities, distractions, interruptions, whatever you normally have going on in your life, getting away from that for a period of time to just really focus on your project, on your book is invaluable. It truly is. And you don't have to go on a retreat, although I love writing retreats. I love retreats of any kind. You don't have to go anywhere that's organized. You can go down the street and check into a local hotel. Ask your family to only call if it's an emergency. Give them the hotel number if you have to. They can call and ask for your room number. I think hotels still have phones. And then you can turn off your cell phone and dive deep into your writing. It is an exceptional way to really be able to explore your ideas better, to be able to make giant leaps in your writing progress and just get more writing done, but also just to be able to get much more familiar with and deeply into the material that you're writing and produce often really great content that way. So that is just my recommendation to use. If you have an opportunity to do that, or if you want to create an opportunity to do that, I say go for it. It really can positively impact your writing. So to outline or not to outline, that's what we're talking about today. And I'm just going to come out of the gate and tell you my mind has been radically changed on this over the years. I come from a background of literary fiction, and let's start with the fact that in school I hated outlining. It was always sort of presented as this unnecessary step to me in the writing process. Even if I were writing a 20-page term paper, it seemed absolutely ridiculous that I should have to write this outline and turn it in. And if I could get away with it, I wrote the outline after I wrote the paper. I was an obnoxious student who did not understand the value of the outline. And when I started studying writing, I went into literary fiction, and the mentors that I had and the teachers I had and the instructors I had, for the most part, I can't think of one who's an exception to this rule, to be honest with you, were pretty much anti outline. They all wrote brilliantly. They all wrote beautifully. They all wrote successfully in my mind because they finished books and they got them published through traditional publishing. This was before self publishing was the massive beast that it is today, but many of them are still publishing traditionally today. They won awards with their books. Movies were made of their books. These were great writers, and I admired their work. The only thing I didn't admire or didn't really want to commit to was that it took often 3, 5, 7, 10, or more years for them to complete a novel. That's a long time, you guys. That's a long time. And they would probably say it was worth it. But if you're writing a book because you want to get your story out there, if you're writing a book because you really want it to help people, if you're writing a book because you want it to grow your business, if you're writing a book because you want it to help you speak on bigger stages, get paid to speak, to have things that you need to impact in the short term, you can't afford to spend 5 to 10 years writing your book. You can't. And they were seriously writing. It wasn't just them talking about writing a book. They were putting words on the page. So you cannot afford to do that. You and outlining will help you get through this process so very much faster. Now, I was not convinced of this either. It took a person that I love to convince me. When I met my husband, his background is in screenwriting. And we talked about the novel I was working on at the time, and he kept asking, like, when are you going to finish it? And I didn't know because I didn't know what the end of the novel was going to be. And he slowly but surely, after giving me some pitying looks, explained the value of outlining in the screenwriting process and the fact that screenwriters have a minimum and maximum number of pages, even that their screenplay must fall within. So, without that outline, without the different ways of outlining that they have, they would never be able to do that. They would never be able to create something that they could sell, if create it effectively and efficiently that they could sell. And so he kind of kept talking to me about the value of the outline and why I might want to consider doing it so that I could actually finish one of my writing projects. And when I got my first paid co writing job, we were selling that book to traditional publishers. So, in order for us to write a book proposal, we had to have a strong outline. They won't even look at a proposal that doesn't have a strong outline. And then in order for us to meet the deadlines that the publisher had, it was a division of Penguin Books, and I can't think of which one it was now. I think a division of Penguin Books. At any rate, in order to meet their deadlines, we had to write to the outline. We had to know what we were writing every time we sat down, every time I interviewed the author, and every time I sat down to write. I had to know exactly what we were working on, and it really, really convinced me of the beauty of an outline. Now, the good thing is, it's not written in stone. If you get into your writing and realize that you want to change something, that you should have put something in, that you should have taken something out, it's your outline. You can change it. Even in traditional publishing, people will sometimes sell the book, and then either the editor who buys it or the author will find that there's some changes that need to be made to that outline and the content that's going to be included in the book. It's perfectly fine, but the outline is your foundation. It is your starting point, and you've really, 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 really going to do so much better if you have a strong outline before you begin the writing process. So, if I haven't convinced you with just my own story, let me give you 7 reasons why you must outline your book. So, reason number 1 is you don't want to forget important content. Whenever you write a book, whenever you publish a book, whenever you market a book, you are making a promise to your readers about what your book will do for them. Now, in the nonfiction world of memoirs, how-to books, subject expertise books, personal development, professional development, things like that, you're generally promising to either teach the reader something, to educate them while teaching them something, to provide them with insights from your story or your experience, right? So if you make that promise and then you leave out important parts of the strategy, important parts of the process, important parts of your story or what you learn from your story, you can't fulfill the promise to your reader. And an outline will help you make sure you don't leave out any important content. Reason number 2 why you should outline your nonfiction book is so that you don't unintentionally repeat content. Guys, that's boring. Nobody wants to read the same thing over and over. Now, you may choose to repeat some things to reiterate them or reinforce them in the mind of the reader. You may choose to repeat things because you're building on them. And so you want to say, and remember 1 and remember 2, and now here's 3. That's all fine and well. But I have picked up books, particularly in the self-publishing world, let's be honest, because many times they haven't had a strong editor take hand. I have picked up books where there's content that the author clearly did not mean to repeat, and yet it is repeated. That tells me they probably did not have a strong outline to begin with. Reason number three why you should outline your nonfiction book is so that you can make it through the murky middle of the writing process. So many authors get such a great start on the first 20 or 30 pages of their book, 40 or 50 pages even, and then they get to a place where they don't know where to go next. Now, if you're writing about your process, you probably have the steps laid out already, and this isn't an issue for you. But if you're writing about a particular subject, just to explain the subject, or if you are writing your memoir, a personal memoir or a professional memoir, it's very easy to get to the middle and be lost if you don't have a plan. So write your outline so that you know when you get to the middle exactly what's going to go there. Reason number four is so your readers don't get lost. So you already know your story, you already know your processes, you already know your subject matter very well. Your reader does not. That's why they're reading your book. If you haven't organized the flow of your book before you start writing, there's a better than average chance that your readers will get lost. But if you take the time to create a strong outline, you can make sure that your book flows from chapter one to chapter whatever in a way that makes sense and is easy for the reader to follow. And the added benefit of this is that not only will it make it easier for readers to follow your book, it will also make it so much easier for you to write your book. You're going to write your book faster because if you try to organize all that content after you've done the writing, it's going to take much longer to do reorganizing at that level and rewriting at that level when you've got 200 pages of content as opposed to when you just have a list of topics that you've used to create your outline. So it is really, really important to use that outline as an opportunity, not just to decide what's going to go in the book, but in what order you're going to put it. Reason number five to outline your book is so that you know when to end the book. This is particularly important for people who are writing memoirs or hybrid books that have an element of memoir. Because here's the deal, your life story is still going on. Whether it's professional or personal, your life story is still happening. So technically, you could include events that happen right up until the moment that you push publish, right? You could include events that happen just a few months earlier. But that's probably not in the best service to your readers. It's probably not in the best service to the book that you're trying to write or what you want that book to do for you. When you write a memoir, you want to end that book in the way and the time and the place and the event that's most effective for the reader. You want to end it in a way that most effectively communicates the message of your book to the reader. If you don't have an outline, it's very difficult to figure out where that is. So you may end up writing and writing and writing a lot of content, spending a lot of time that you actually don't need to spend because you haven't decided where to end your book. So write your outline so that you'll know exactly where to bring your book to a close. Reason number six to outline your book is so that you can start marketing early. And I know a lot of people are not thinking about marketing when they're in the writing process, and that's fine. You don't have to. You have to, some people really encourage you to do that. I say know yourself. If you know that your plate is full and you can barely find time to write, much less market, then just know it's going to be some time after you press publish on your book before you actually start marketing it. And that's okay. Creating a marketing materials and a plan takes time, but you can start marketing early, or it makes marketing so much easier whenever you start it if you have an outline, because you can go to that outline and see what are some of the themes, what are some of the topics that I can use in promoting my book, right? What are some of the things that I can pull from this outline and use for a talk on the stage? What are some of the things that I can give to a virtual assistant and have them create social media posts about? What are some of the things that I could use as talking points for a podcast interview or on my own podcast or for guest blog posts somewhere, articles in magazines? That outline will give you an easy place to go to pick those things. Reason number seven is so you can strategize additional content products, services, and merchandise that you want to pull from your book. That's hard to do when you're looking at hundreds of pages, but when you've got the outline there, you can look at it and see, okay, chapter 7 talks about this. I have a wonderful online course about that, and I can make mention of that in chapter 7. What do you want your readers to do to work more with you or buy from you or get to know you better when they're done reading your book? Well, your outline can help you decide where to place those things within your book. So, for example, if you just want readers to join your mailing list and you're going to give them some wonderful free gift so that when your future books come out, or when you have a speaking opportunity, or when you launch your podcast, they'll know about it. That outline will help you figure out exactly where you can put that offer so that it will appeal to your readers. Of course, you could slap it anywhere, but you want to put it somewhere in the book that it will appeal to your readers. And I said I was going to do 7 reasons, but I have to talk about reason number 8. So let's make it 8 reasons, which is just to manage writer's block. When you have an outline in front of you, when you sit down for your daily writing session, or you've checked into a hotel and you want to get 3 chapters written this week, whatever it is, you have a menu of things to choose from with your outline. You can simply look at the outline. If you don't feel like you have enough information and maybe need to do some research on chapter 2, you can skip down to chapter 7 and write that today. There's no more sitting there twiddling your thumbs and wondering, oh gosh, what should I be writing today? Because your outline tells you exactly what still needs to be written. And you can check off or line through the things that you've gotten written, but you know what's left that you need to cover for your book. So an outline is a fantastic way to avoid writer's block. And whether you believe in writer's block or not is a whole different conversation, but an outline is the one way to make sure it is less and less a part of your life. So these are my 8 reasons. I thought I would have 7, but I had to throw that last one in there because it's actually one of the most important reasons. These are my 8 reasons for you to outline your nonfiction book. Now, I still have clients who fight against the outlining process. For those clients, I often have to come up with some, let's say, more creative ways to outline. And remember, it does not have to be that formal Roman numeral, Arabic numeral, capital letter, lower letter thing that we did in high school and college and middle school. It does not have to be that. There are lots of other ways that you can outline your book that will be so much easier. And in fact, I will cover those in the next episode so that you don't feel like you're just kind of hanging out there wondering, okay, that's great, Candace, but how do I do it? I'll tell you how to do it. I'll give you a few tools that you can use to outline your book in the next episode. So your action step for today is just to become open to and commit to the practice of outlining for your book. And I would challenge you, if you've already started writing your book, to go back and outline it anyway. You should be able to look at the content you've created and what you're missing and create an outline so that you know if there are any gaps there. You know if there's anything that's been repeated. You know if the book is flowing well from one chapter to another. You know if it's coming to a close at the right time. You know what you can use for marketing and for selling other products and services or connecting with your reader in that book. So I highly encourage you to do that. And remember that next time I will give you some easy ways to outline. I thank you for listening again to Nothing But the Words. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. I would really appreciate a great review if you found value here. I'm your author coach, Candace L. Davis, and I'll see you next time.